Welcome back to the Talkin Chop podcast, brought to you by the folks over at Chief of Staff KC. This week, we're joined by the one and only Kiona Sinks. Kiona, how's your week going so far?
Going good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being here.
Well, Kiona's doing some awesome things over at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum as their community engagement manager. And she also runs her own diversity and inclusion consulting business called Elevate Consulting. Kiona, I know how busy you are, so again, thanks for making some time to be with us this week. You ready to talk some chop?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, after a 2-week hiatus, the Chiefs are finally set to take the field on Sunday against the Browns after their kind of stunning upset of the Steelers last weekend. As we chop it up, we'll bring you our breakdown of the AFC playoff picture after wildcard weekend and preview our divisional round matchup against Baker Mayfield and company. But first, we're bringing you the positions of the week brought to you by Chief of Staff KC, your local trusted talent scouts. We're a recruiting firm at Brookside, and we'll bring you the best accounting and finance, admin and marketing, HR, operations, and sales talent Kansas City has to offer. So with that, Lucas, what do you got this week, man?
Yeah, just got a new one as of, 2:30 today, a couple hours ago. So it's right off the press. I know I said that last week, but hey, this one's even hotter.
Yeah, market's hot right now.
It is. It's so bad. It's back to normal. It feels so good. But anyways, I digress. So it's a brand new position. It's a hybrid role kind of between a senior accountant and a county manager position. So they'll look at both levels of experience. The reason being is there's a new acquisition that they've just undergone and are going through. And so it'll allow a lot of vertical growth. So they're willing to look at someone who's, 6 years into their career in that senior level role that has management aspirations, or someone who's already there and is willing to take this company to the next level. Manufacturing and distribution experience preferred. Competitive compensation benefits are second to none. So senior managers or senior accountants, accounting managers out there, give me a shout.
And on the sales and operations side, we have a financial advisor position open right now, 2 to 10 years of experience. It's kind of different. The firm, operates pretty uniquely and really just trying to engage with young people, helping them plan for the future. But the firm doesn't offer commission, so it's salary and bonuses involved. But they're not really looking for that lone wolf, typical business development type. They want a good team player who's sharp, professional, and organized. So if that sounds like you or someone you know, reach out to us and we'll take care of you. But those are your positions of the week brought to you by Chief of Staff KC.
All right, time to talk some shop first. Then we'll talk chop a little bit later, Kiona. But again, thank you for being here. Emerson's told me just some great things. I've done a little research myself. I love your background, and I think it looks not only phenomenal on paper, but it's a great story. So I would love for you to share a little bit about it, if you don't mind. Kind of talk a little bit about how you got to KC and then your roles with the museum and Elevate Consulting.
For sure. Like most people, so thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
And like most people, you fall in love with Kansas City when you come visit or, you're not from here. And my intentions was not to live here. I was on an academic scholarship through the Greater Kansas City Foundation. Okay. And they said, Kiona, through the Brand Myers, you have 2 options, or we have 2 things that we need for you to do. We don't mind supporting you through the foundation, but we need you to maintain the 3.0, and we need you to give so many hours quarterly to your professional development. And I was like, but I got to come all the way to Kansas City? They were like, yes.
And where are you from originally again?
So family, Columbia, Missouri, born and raised, Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Nice.
So it was kind of like all right, I guess I'll come here for money type thing for school if that's all I got to do. Yeah. And I just, over the years, you learn so much, you see a lot, and you just experience, and you meet amazing people. And I just knew right up to my senior year of college, I knew I wanted to make Kansas City home.
Sure. That's excellent. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
So you guys have been in the news recently. Justin was talking about scrolling through Instagram and seeing Bob Kendrick and Dave Portnoy on their FaceTime interview. But you guys had just recently received Barstool's small business grant. Can you kind of, I know 2020 was kind of a difficult year to have people to the museum. Can you kind of talk about, I guess how you guys overcame 2020 as a museum, kind of relying on people to actually show up, but then also what that grant is, what kind of impact that'll make with you guys, and then also, what your goals are coming up for the museum in 2021.
Yeah, well, 2020 for all of us was a difficult year. And so I think, when you look at it from a social injustice and the museum having a stewardship in Kansas City to be able to tell that story through the lens of baseball and civil rights, it only heightened our presence across the country. I think Major League Baseball, and it's a steward to Bob's leadership, that he's done a phenomenal job over the course of plus 10 years being a good steward over our partnership with them. We've seen it with the commemorative patch that they wore, the centennial patch, the entire day. So every ball club, paid their respects to the Negro Leagues. We saw it just recently when they announced, they're going to integrate the Negro League stats. And so
that's huge.
That's
it's
awesome.
huge. It's going to change the game of baseball potentially.
Right.
So we will be waiting to see when those things are become available to the public. But I mean, those things kept us relevant. And I think there's not a museum in the country that is everywhere right now. And so as community engagement manager starting in September, I mean, it was supposed to be March, but we all know what happened in March. And so it was kind of this wait and see kind of type game. And I can say, just from my perspective, what an amazing opportunity. And just to, just increase not only just in Kansas City, but across the country. And the first week I got to the job, I got an email from the VP of the Cleveland Indians. And I think that's a testament just of how many people, not just in baseball, but just in leadership that look to us. And so it tells me that my job is not just here in Kansas City. It's, of course, it's for other states and for the ball clubs too. And so 2020 with the 100-year anniversary was just like a whirlwind. I mean, we didn't get to do so many cool things that we had planned. Right. One being downtown at the Midland, our huge gala that would have happened on November 13th. But we replaced that with the Kansas City streetcar downtown. So that was wrapped in the 1942 Buck O'Neil jersey, number 22, and it's beautiful.
It was really cool, yeah.
If you have not, I haven't ridden a streetcar yet, so that's on my list. Don't judge me. But I would encourage everybody, if you have not seen it, to look it up or go down and take a stroll in the River Market and get on. It was incredible. So that was like my first big thing I got to oversee and help raise the money and kind of get it going. But I would say, in moving forward for this year in 2021, and then the Barstool News just the other day, I mean, somebody put our name for it. It's literally like I'm sitting with you guys here on a Wednesday, and then Monday I was like running around like a chicken with my head cut off when the news broke. And I mean, I just think like what a better way for not only to preserve, the museum's, history, but also, we suffer like most businesses.
Right. Sure.
And so I think these funds will definitely go towards, operationally and just for us to continue to do the good work that a lot of people know that we are capable to do.
Oh, of course. And, I was just so excited to see them select you guys because obviously not only, like you were saying, you have a huge impact in the Kansas City community, but nationally, that's a story, that's a museum that, can't go unnoticed. So.
It took social media by storm. I saw it all day long. It was cool. I was sitting there smiling.
Yeah.
Just like, I've been there. That's so great. Represent Kansas City.
Yeah, and I mean, Bob, I mean, what an amazing person he is. Yeah. I've known him for quite some time now, and prior to me taking this role at the museum, and I think that, we don't really see a lot of what, not just him, but just leaders in our city and Kansas City in general. We just see the end result. They show up. It's like, this is game time. And people put so much into their craft on the field, right?
Yeah.
And so I just feel like, I mean, that just displayed, he's on vacation, but it's like it was much deserved.
Yeah, he's on his golf trip.
Yeah.
I mean, what great news to have while you're taking it easy, too. That's awesome. That's awesome.
What a great start to 2021 for you guys. I know you'll continue that success, but a little bit about yourself, right? So you're one of the most civically engaged young professionals here in Kansas City. It's kind of a two-part question. So why Kansas City? If you elaborate on that a little bit more, what made you stick around? And then, you want to make a big impact on the community. So if you can elaborate on what you're doing to continue that.
Yeah, I think for me, you're here in Kansas City, and what changed my life, Luke, was at Central Methodist, I ended up founding our school's African American Student Union.
That's awesome.
And that was in the wake, though, of, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown.
Right.
And so, fast forward like 5 years later, it's like George Floyd, right? And then Breonna Taylor, unfortunately. But it's one of those things where you're at a predominantly white college, got a great education, but you're looking around and you don't see a lot of people who look like you. And so when you move to Kansas City as a young professional, in my motto in life is you always create something out of what you wish you would have had.
Right.
So when I came to Kansas City, I wish I would have had like some organization that said like, okay, what does Black Kansas City look like?
Sure.
Because we have a lot of professionals here that they don't know about 18th and Vine. They don't know about Negro Leagues. They don't know about American Jazz Museum. So it's like, how can we leverage that even more? And so you start looking at that and you're like, what could be done? And that led to me founding Black Excellence KC, and basically just wanting to, further promote opportunities for Black young professionals in our city, because, it is a problem. We in Kansas City need to retain, right? Chief of staff is, giving people jobs, but what if it was like, hey, let's just see, like, what can we do to carve out more in our retentions and work more with employee resource groups to implement those things. So it looks a little different when you're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, because it's like the mooning rule in football, right? We know that they have to interview at least, maybe that's 4 Black candidates or people of color. So I think it should be the same way when we're looking at giving young professionals opportunities or anyone. And so that was kind of my reasoning for like wanting to stay around Kansas City. Sure. If I could have a hand in changing the narrative of, young professionals being able to, oh, they're young, they don't know anything. It's like, no, like we're the next, like I was telling Emerson last week, in 5 to 10 years, people are going to be asking us for meetings, and how to make it, how to move, doing their own podcast or sometimes, which we hope, behind the camera, talking about Chiefs. And so I think for us, it's hard to say that Kansas City's great, but we're still, 15 or 25%, lacking in these corporate diversity and equity, policies and rooms. And I'm looking up and I'm not seeing people who look like me in leadership. That's a problem. So in order to create something that we want or we desire to see, I think it's important for us to start, changing policies. And unfortunately, with people of color, we got the data to back that up. And so,
I mean, well, first of all, we're lucky to have you here in Kansas City. You've already done you're 25 and you've already done some amazing things.
The passion you speak with, I just have to applaud you on that. I love hearing you discuss what you plan on doing.
100%.
It gets me excited.
Yeah, and so, I mean, we were talking last week about Elevate and the consulting work you're doing that kind of piggybacks off of what you were speaking to. But can you kind of talk to us a little bit more about your initiatives actually in the workplace and working with like local Kansas City companies to really bring diversity and inclusion initiatives, forward and try to honestly reshape what the workforce is going to look like in the future? What are your biggest goals with that?
Yeah, I feel like the last one in 2020 was working with the Builders Association, had an opportunity to moderate some conversations with the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. A lot of those discussions are exactly what I'm telling you guys. What should we be looking for in the next 2 to 5 years, and giving, high school transitional or first generational college students. The last big keynote speaking engagement I have was in this for the state of Missouri in Jeff City. I drove down and right by the state capitol. It was really weird. I was just like, they put me in a room like this and they're like, all right, time to speak. I just talked about, what should people who are making financial aid decisions and, how can people partner with chief of staff and agencies as such to groom? Like most kids who come up from like me, they don't, it's like, what, my resume, what? Like, like those things that need to become more common than different. And so I think for me, it's been here in Kansas City, just having those conversations with a lot of CEOs. I mean, sometimes it blows my mind that I'm like, am I really talking to this person? Okay, but it's impactful, it's meaningful. I feel like, honestly, I don't really take it in as it comes because I know that there's so much to be done. I feel like my ideas are no different than others. I think for me, my motto is just do it, because if you don't do it, then who else is going to do it? And people are only going to believe in what you do. And I think for me, I'm not really a talker. I think people who really know me well over time that, I'm all about, okay, we do this, like, how can I either help you or how can I get it done? And I'm going to figure out a way to get it done. So I think for me, it's those conversations with CEOs is like big because there are people who are making those decisions. Right. But they're like informal conversations like this, and it allows me to kind of, I think, open up the door for people like us to walk behind me.
Yeah. As our president would say, they're the movers and shakers of Kansas City, right? So very exciting for those conversations to continue to be had for yourself. We like to do some rapid fire questions here. So every week we ask our guests a recent first down, Could be personal, could be professional, but essentially it's a success that is going to lead to further success. We'll ask for a sack, so a slight setback that you had to overcome, and then we'll ask for a Hail Mary.
The Wasp.
So, the Wasp, yeah. Shout out Kyle Bach. We have time to run Wasp. We're going to ask for your Hail Mary or Wasp. What's your big goal for next year that you would like to accomplish, or this year, right? Yeah, it's wild saying that, right? 2021. So we'll start with first down.
And this is something like good.
Yes, positive.
Okay.
Positive is going to lead to more success for you.
Yeah, I would just say really just, man, life and being here, right? Because we've seen so much this year. So when I look at just like personal goals and for myself, I'm like, okay, we got the JOB, we got the brand.
Yep.
So I think for me, it's just being grateful for opportunities because not a lot of people are afforded that. Not a lot of people are hearing yes where we are now. Yeah. So I would say that would be my first down.
Yeah, no,
that's great.
I got the chills listening to her say that because it's such a great perceptive take from kind of a unique one person. But then I've never heard that before. Everyone goes with like something tangible. Like I've just, but when you just take a step back and look at it from that angle, I really enjoy that. What about a sack?
Little setback.
Little setback you had to overcome.
Yeah, I would say this past year in 2020, I really had to kind of slow down and put like my mental health and just like, taking care of me first.
Sure.
I think people would have never known. As people hear this and they're like, what? Like, you were doing what? Like when? Like when you were getting the Stevie Award? Yes, because it's a lot, when we are moving and grinding and getting up and coffee meetings and Zoom and you're not slowing down. It's just one thing after the next and you're not taking in. So I think for me, the little setback that I had was it was just happening. And you're not really, you're forgetting you. And I think if you're not great, then anything else you do is not going to be great. So I had to take that slow kind of approach and say, all right, let's back up a little bit. Let's regroup.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I appreciate you sharing that
Yeah.
and being vulnerable enough to talk about that because, I've been in your shoes before too. Like I've gone through that. You try to move so fast and do so many different things that a lot of times your own personal health, especially mental health, gets sacrificed because of that. So, I just appreciate you talking about that because it's definitely something that our generation cares about a lot.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a problem that we need to address more often and have those conversations. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
For sure, and everything ain't always okay, and that's okay.
Right.
And I feel like just normalizing that too, because I feel like my grandma always tells me you're your own worst critic, and I feel like we're in that society now, especially our generation, where it's like grind, go, make the bag, like go get it, and it's like, all right, like when's the last time you went to counseling? Like, not because you got to be crazy, but it's like, well, what are you doing? So that's a part of my routine now. Like today, just being transparent. I had a counseling call, not because life is just shattering. It's like check in with you, and so that right there, and that's full transparency, and I feel like that's the way that I'm gonna be able to continue to grow and make room for more.
Right. Love that.
Taking care of yourself. That should be the motto for 2021, right?
Let's do it, Luke.
I'm with it. Talk to me about your WASP or Hail Mary, kind of these large goal or aspiration that you have for this year.
Man, I feel like for me, with the museum and just with the personal brand, I feel like just really we have an amazing city. And I feel like locally in Kansas City this year, my goal would be to, and I know COVID has put a damper on people meeting in person, but just connecting the dots more. Like I feel like a lot of people are trying to recreate the wheel. And I feel like people don't understand Kansas City has already great things to offer. We already have the people that have the tools to do it. We just need to figure it out.
Right.
And I feel like it's kind of like we hear it all the time, work smarter, not harder. So I pride myself in, I think, being that and kind of being like, how does not Emerson know such and such? Or how does Luke how's he not connected to, this person? And I feel like once we start doing that intergenerationally and racially, you bridge a lot of gaps. And I feel like Kansas City potential in that is still yet to be determined. We haven't reached that. So that's a large, I guess, local Kansas City goal. It's just, if we could connect more of the best of Kansas City, we would. I'm afraid of what we would do.
Yeah. Well,
I'm on board. Let's do it, Kiona.
Yeah,
let's do it. I'm with you on that.
Those talks, me and Emerson had a good chat, and I feel like there's some things in place. I just feel like a lot of people, for me, you just want to make sure it's something that you really like have everyone around
Sure.
you that's like, because it's like people are losing jobs, people are going through tough things. So and I just say that you can have fun. I have fun when it's time to kick it, I kick it, and I go hard. When it's time to work, I work.
Love it.
So it's not all serious all the time. You find a balance, but and then for the museum, I think nationally would just be we're a great brand. I think for us, it's just kind of how do we connect the dots? And so I really want to have a hand in digitally connecting more of our brand to Major League Baseball, and I think that's going to be incredible. Like I just got off a call today about this year's plans, and so it's just amazing to see. Like it's like, all right, I just got off a call with the ladies. It is women. Women are leading the ship, y'all.
Love it.
Y'all better step back. We are leading the ship. I'm like, this is an all women call.
It's incredible.
So it was just dope to see that and to know like, okay, you're driving this train. And this is nationally, and to your point, like, what will happen with the stats and just all these other things. And the museum has an amazing exhibit, Breaker Barriers, that Evergy has partnered with us and Kaufman Foundation as well. So it highlights the prospective men who broke their color barrier on their Major League Baseball team. And I don't think everybody knows. Like, we think of Jackie Robinson, and it's like, but we don't talk about, like, the Cleveland Indians or, Minnesota Twins. So it should be, for me, I'm growing, I'm learning. I mean, I know Bob's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to Negro Leagues history, but I'm getting there. So
there you go.
That's excellent.
We're crawling.
Yeah, well, it's so great to not only hear your story, but all the things you've accomplished so far in your young career, and what your aspirations are moving forward. 2021 year of Kiona Sinks. Hop on board,
Watch
people.
out.
There you go. Watch out. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with us. But I think it's time to talk some chop.
Let's talk some chop.
Let's do it. So our boys are back in the number 1 seed this year, headed into Sunday's matchup against the Browns. They're looking to win back-to-back playoff games first time since 1950 when they won the Super Bowl last. So it's been a minute for the boys, but we'll see what happens. Kiona, we always give our guests the first take each week, kind of a tribute to Andy Reid. But how are you feeling about the Chiefs headed into the playoffs? Like, where's your confidence level? Time's yours.
Man, I feel like we're gonna run it back, like
Let's
everybody
go.
else was saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I think looking at the Chiefs, I'm not a huge football fan. I think it's growing on me because you're living in Kansas City. Feel like Patrick Mahomes. There's some synergy from afar. Like that's my homie.
Yeah.
Being 25, he has really set the standard for our city. And I think for me, off the field, looking at just how he, just uplifts our culture. I mean, for me, I feel like the personal connection. He wears our 1945 Jackie Robinson jersey, walking out to the game. I'm like, okay, he just put us back on back order. Like, so it's and how he just carried the entire team. I mean, Kelsey, just everybody. So I feel like they're going to do great because they play with such confidence all across the board.
That championship swagger, man.
I just hope our defense does what it needs to do.
That's right. We'll get into that.
100%.
You hit that nail on the head. The Browns, I mean, we watched them play the Steelers recently, and they got off to a hot start, but they let the Steelers back into it. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway from their most recent game and kind of what I'm thinking we'll be able to do. And I have my keys to victory later, so I won't go into too much depth. But if they allow us to attack them like the Steelers did, I think we'll be all right. They have a lot of holes in that defense, the Browns do. So, they have firepower, but can they keep it up with the Kansas City Chiefs?
Right. I mean, they came out to a 28-0 first quarter lead. With Big Ben. It's kind of reminiscent of what Peyton Manning losing that first snap of the Super Bowl to safety, or even like Carson Palmer, the ball going over his head. But yeah, I mean, they just dug themselves a hole they couldn't get out of. But I mean, they did outscore the Browns 37-20 after the first quarter. So it's not like the Browns have like a God-fearing defense or anything like that. I mean, they allowed Big Ben to throw for 501 yards with an NFL record 47 completions and 4 touchdowns. He did throw 4 picks.
Come on.
But I mean, Big Ben, he dropped back and threw it 60 plus times with a guy who is on his last leg. That might have been the last game he ever played with a surgically repaired elbow, and he sliced and diced him. So I mean, like, we'll get into it with your keys to victory, but again, it's whoever's going to score more points. It really is. So
Yeah, but don't underestimate the. You know, what I mean, I like a lot of people. I'm on Twitter. I'm like, look, I ain't no football fan, but I'm like, man, clearly the Browns was not determined to win this game. Like, they came out and proved everybody wrong. And you know, be careful. For, you know, don't judge a book by its cover too quick.
100%.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
Because we was on the other side of that before that Super Bowl.
True.
So
Very true.
people didn't think we were gonna go. So let's just get through this weekend.
yeah, I like it. Voice of reason.
Yes.
Voice of reason. Don't get too
Stay level-headed.
Yeah, I mean that's
And
also,
I think we're spoiled. Like, I hear, we lost. Then we're not. I'm like, there was a time where Chiefs were winning no games.
Right.
Y'all need to calm down.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, and that's like being a lifelong Chiefs fan. Everyone always has that nervous mentality, especially going into the playoffs. We've already been there and done that and won the Super Bowl and trying to repeat. But like, I still feel like there's always that little uneasiness going into these playoff games that everyone has. Just from
I've
years
said
of
we're
scarring.
desensitized to the greatness, right? Because it happened so quickly and it happened so fast, and we ran it up. Last year came back at these great games. Patrick's been carrying us, and so when we see it happen, we just are wanting more. We're left for wanting more, and then we get into the situations like you just said, where it's like we may look past an opponent. So let's not do that.
Yeah.
Let's get to the playbook.
Yeah. Andy Reid off a bye. He's always got that good mojo going.
Yep.
Has a tremendous winning percentage with there. But, I mean, we'll see. They've been resting for, 3 weeks now. So they got to come out firing early. That Browns running attack, you can't let them get a big lead because then they're just going to bleed you dry the rest of the game. But we do have a couple questionable injuries coming up as well. Tyreek, Sammy, Clyde, and Remmers on the offensive side are all listed as questionable. And then Ben Neiman on the defensive side of the ball. They also have, I think, really – the biggest piece is like their offensive line is on its last leg. They have Conklin down. They lost 2 linemen and a corner to IR already. They are getting Denzel Ward and Kevin Johnson, their cornerbacks, back, which is huge against our offense. But hey, maybe this is a running game. Maybe this is a Bills game that no one really saw Clyde going off like that. But it'll be interesting to see the game plan we got coming up with these injuries. So, Lucas, let's get into your keys of victory, and then we'll wrap up.
So I don't know if you guys saw Kareem Hunt, what he said recently. He said it's personal for him.
Which makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. We loved him when he was here. We wanted him to stay. He unfortunately, wasn't honest with the front office from what we could see or hear from being outside, and we had to let him go. Now, we're going to keep it personal, Kareem, if that's what you want. So my key to victory number 1, keep it personal. We're going to take him out of the game. And so we'll do that by allowing Patrick's arm to attack early, attack often. As we've said before, if we get up early, their running game will still be there, but it will be close to non-existent. They'll have to pass to catch up to us in a quick manner. So keep it personal, key to victory number 1. Number 2, our linebackers have to come to play.
Yep.
They have a great receiving core that kept finding the middle of the field against the Steelers. And so if we can keep our linebackers' heads on a swivel, protect the run game like I just mentioned, but also really not have that soft zone in the middle that's going to continue getting them first downs, that'll be number 2. Number 3, come out not rusty, which I think we're going to be a little bit no matter what, because it's been a few weeks, right? But dust that rust off as quick as humanly possible and be the team that we know we can be.
Yeah, man.
And can I say with Kareem Hunt, nobody asked you to get in trouble. Like,
right.
We love you, man.
I'm just like, that has nothing to do with the Chiefs organization. So that video got leaked. And that exposed everything.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, sports, great athlete, character at that time, a little questionable. So you make it very hard for, the front office at the Chiefs organization to be like, should we keep him? Like, you got to let him go. But I'm glad he got a second chance.
Well, how's he going to learn his lesson? I mean, if you continually back him and he's like straight lying to your face as an organization, I think that you're right. They were backed into a corner. They needed to make that decision. And I mean, think about it. Like, had we had him, we could have made it to the Super Bowl. We might have won against the Patriots. Might be a three-peat that we're talking about right now.
Wishful
but
thinking.
hey, we came out all right.
We're on to 2021.
Yeah,
we got to think forward thinking here, right?
But yeah, so I did want to ask you if you had a score prediction for the game. We typically do that. I'm terrible at these. But
I feel like I
not
would
very
be
good
too.
either. Don't worry.
Chiefs are 10-point favorites. Over under 57. But what do you think the score is going to be?
Let's go with like 24-10.
Okay. All right. I like that. Yeah.
Defensive battle.
I do as well.
Cool.
Chiefs, obviously.
Yes,
Right, yeah.
Chiefs, obviously. Because I do feel like Patrick will give us, the momentum in the first half that we will need. I just think the key thing is, are we going to maintain that the second half?
Sure.
Because we can't
Sure.
get comfortable. So.
Yep. Chiefs fans who will be out there, be loud and proud. I was watching a video today of just like the 70,000 singing songs and being loud after crazy plays. So hopefully that will still have some sort of effect, on the game and the momentum. But I'm going to go Chiefs 38-24, a little bit higher scoring battle.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be high scoring too. I think these offenses are, Baker's playing out of his mind right now. And that running game gives me pause. I guess that's the word for it. But I do think we might come out slow, but we'll finish strong like we always do. I think it'll be probably, 34-27. I think it's going to be closer. 10 points is a lot to lay, especially in a playoff game with how well the Browns are playing right now. So I don't think we cover. But I do think we pull it out in the end. Outside of the Chiefs game itself, the number 4 seed Ravens are taking on the number 2 seed Bills on Saturday at 7:15 on NBC. You had an interesting stat about Lamar Jackson, didn't you?
Yeah.
Never played in a snow game? Like,
Yeah,
what?
I know.
That psychologically is like, how do you function?
Right. I think he could, if it does snow, he could be a Lamar that we've never seen before, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
It really can get in the psyche of someone's mind.
Yeah, but when it snows, what do? You run the ball, and Lamar Jackson is one of the best to do it. So
He's elusive.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that game plays out. We'll take on the winner of that if we advance and host the 3rd straight AFC championship at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yep.
If we can pull it out on Sunday. On the NFC side, Rams are taking on the Packers. Hot take. I think the Rams are going to win that game.
Wow.
And then Bucks play the Saints Sunday at 5:40 after us. Who do you like coming out of the NFC? Did we talk about that?
I just want Tom Brady to lose. Call me a Tom Brady hater, but he decimated the Chiefs in the playoffs for numerous years, so I kind of have a chip on my shoulder there. But
yeah, honestly, I want to see Mahomes Brady Super Bowl, and I want to see Mahomes finally slay the dragon.
I like that.
I think I don't know. The whole storyline's about Aaron Rodgers, and for some reason, I think upset alert in that game. That defense is so good. If Jalen Ramsey can take Devontae Adams out of that. He's got good weapons around him, but they're not great. MBS and Alan Lazard.
Yep.
And then, Tanyan's been good, but the Rams defense is number 1 in the league. So, and Aaron Donald's always going to mess some stuff up for you. So
I think it's still going to be a State Farm Super Bowl, so I'll stick to that one.
I like
we'll
that.
see how
I think it'd be
out.
fun.
Aaron and
yeah, you
Pat.
see the new State Farm ads? They've been playing that up. Jake from State Farm's wearing. Yeah, it's very funny.
It is.
But we'll see. But yeah, that wraps things up for week 19. I can't believe we're already here, man. Week 19 of Talkin' Chop. So whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, make sure to subscribe and catch our weekly episodes of some of Kansas City's top execs and personalities. Hopefully we'll have a couple more. I got a couple awesome guests down the pipeline for it if things shake out the way we hope they do on our way to run it back. But Kiona, do you have any final thoughts or anything?
No, let's just get the Super Bowl. Let's keep impacting our community.
Yep.
Let's get this 2021 down and greater things ahead. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome.
You're so welcome. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Well, catch y'all next week. And as always,
Go Chiefs.
go Chiefs.